I am Sabrina Moura. I am a scholar and a curator from Brazil. I have been doing research on art history, and I'm very interested in on how artists deal with archives. How do they tell the histories of the past in the light of the present? And I also have been doing a lot of research on artists from the global south. So one of my first publications on this was the Southern Panoramas, which is a book that deals exactly with this different perspectives from the field of arts and culture, and try to grapple with this notion of global south. How has it been discussed historically? How was it born? And how it is related actually to the artistic field. And I think this is a very relevant discussion because I think that the archives of the so-called Global South are archives that still need a lot of research on them. And I think that from the perspective of art history, that is still much to be done on that sense. And I think there is a lot of knowledge that can be produced from dealing with these materials. So here at the Global Disconnect Research Center, I am doing a research on the history and the archives of a scientific expedition that took place in 1817, and it was undertaken by two Bavarian scientists, Spix and Martius. They went to Brazil under the commission of the king at the time, and they were set to explore the hinterland of the country that was just opening its doors to scientific exploration from abroad. And they traveled throughout Brazil. They arrived in Rio in 1817, and they traveled throughout the country, reaching the Amazonia. And in 1820, they came back to Munich, bringing their collections and also two indigenous children, which were baptized with Christian names. So they received the names of Isabella Miranda and Johann Uri. And they came to Munich. They lived for a very short time. They perished because of the weather conditions. They got severely ill. And although this history of the collections that were related to ethnography, to botanics, and to zoology, which had a big contribution to science at the time, although this has been widely discussed by academics and scientists, there is a recent production by artists that want to retell these stories from a different perspective, from a decolonial perspective. So my project at the center deals actually with these narratives and how they are retold and re-represented by these artists. So I'm dealing not with the history of the expedition itself, but on the narratives around them, from the 19th century to the present. One very interesting methodology that some of these artists use, I would inscribe in this concept of critical fabulation by Saidiya Hartman, when she talks about the possibility of imagine or deal with fiction regarding archives. I think this is a very interesting methodology because it introduces fiction on historical research and allows us to really grapple with the power of storytelling, right? So beyond dealing with facts and of course the rigor that we need for historical research, what some of these artists bring is the possibility of imagination of other histories, other voices really that were silenced, and making them present through the possibility of fiction. This project is culminating on an exhibition that will open here in Munich in February, called Traveling Back, in which we will present some of these archives and also the artworks related to this experience. The relationship between this project and the notion of disconnectivity is really the idea of showing the absences and silences regarding this history that, although, as I said, has been widely narrated, widely represented, are still object of actual artistic research, interested in revealing other sides of these narratives. And I think that the exhibition is a great outcome to this kind of research, because it really allows us to see the overlapping between the archival materials and the contemporary visual representations that try to bring other sides of this history. So this notion of disconnectivity, or the visibility of disconnectivity, is really present in the exhibition space.